Do you ever find yourself writing functions that get called repeatedly with the same arguments? This can lead to unnecessary computation and slow down your code. In this video, we'll learn about memoization, a technique that can help us avoid redundant computation. We'll apply this technique to solve Day 6 problem from the 30 Days of LeetCode JavaScript Challenge. That is, Memoize. So the problem is asking you to write a function called Memoize that takes another function fn as an input, and returns a new function that behaves like fn but caches its results so that if the function is called with the same arguments again, it just returns the cached value instead of actually executing the function again. You can assume that fn will be one of three possible functions: sum, which takes two numbers and returns their sum; fib, which takes a single number and returns the corresponding Fibonacci number; and factorial, which takes a single number and returns the corresponding factorial. The function Memoize should return a new function that behaves like fn, but with the added caching behavior. The new function should keep track of which arguments it has been called with before, and if it is called with the same arguments again, it should return the cached result instead of executing fn again. To solve this problem, you'll need to use an object to store the cached results, where the keys of the object are the arguments to fn, and the values are the corresponding results. Every time the memoized function is called, you'll check if the arguments have been seen before, and if so, return the cached result. If not, you'll execute fn with the given arguments, store the result in the cache, and return the result. Here's some code for the Memoize function. In the code above, Memoize takes a function fn as its input, and returns a new function that behaves like fn but with the added caching behavior. The cache object is used to store the cached results, where the keys of the object are the arguments to fn, and the values are the corresponding results. The returned function takes any number of arguments using the spread operator, args. The JSON.stringify method is used to convert the arguments to a string so they can be used as a key in the cache object. If the key exists in the cache, the cached result is returned. If not, the original function fn is executed with the given arguments, and the result is stored in the cache object before returning it. Here's an example of how you could use the Memoize function to cache the results of the sum function. This code creates a new variable callCount and initializes it to 0. It also creates a new function memoizedFn that is a memoized version of a function that takes two arguments a and b and returns their sum. The callCount variable is increment every time the original function is called. In this code, we're calling memoizedFn twice with the same arguments, 2, 3. The first time it is called, it executes the original function and returns the result 5. The second time it is called with the same arguments, it just returns the cached result 5 without actually executing the original function again. Finally, we're logging the value of callCount, which is now 1 because the original function was only executed once. So the main idea behind this code is to use the Memoize function to cache the results of the original function and keep track of how many times it is actually executed. The time complexity of the memoized function depends on the time complexity of the original function and the number of cached values. If the original function has a time complexity of big O(n) and there are m cached values, the time complexity of the memoized function would be big O(m) in the best case and big O(n)m in the worst case. In conclusion, memoization is a powerful technique for optimizing the performance of functions that are called repeatedly with the same arguments. By caching the results of function calls, we can avoid unnecessary computations and speed up our code. Thanks for following along. I appreciate your attention. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for more content like this.